Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the time may be. I hope everybody's having a great week. For you guys, this is going to be day of. A big shout out to the man, Peeweedaplug, through the wire, Pierre. He did a video reacting to this very article that we are about to take a look-see at it for ourselves. I really started watching a little bit of it. I watched through the first two trade targets, people that could possibly get traded. Kind of got some inspiration on making this video thanks to Pierre. I'll leave a link in the description of his channel. A big shout out once more to Peeweedaplug, Pierre. With all that being said, let's get right into it. Let's go with the first person that is again, I agree with Pierre. He talked about how realistic trades, it feels a little bit better understanding a realistic trade. I'm not looking to say we're going to trade LeBron James for LaMelo Ball. That's not a very realistic scenario. It's a little bit easier for us to understand a realistic scenario. Miles Turner for a couple other role players and some picks is a possible scenario, but we don't really grasp the trade scenarios that are realistic for the fact that we want to be hyper about having this possibility of this player going to this team and being title contenders. But we do get some realistic trades that I would love to see eventually. I don't know much outside of the first two players. First one being this gentleman right here. Peeweedaplug had mentioned that this guy that he's been balling out. He's been balling out his whole career. His first year was with the Brooklyn Nets, and he was averaging 9 points a game. He has continued to put in the finest of work. His pretty much his career averages at no minimum 16 points per game. In recent, 18 points, 17 points. Last year was 21 points per game for the Detroit Pistons. He was on my Indiana Pacers, the Detroit Pistons, Utah Jazz, and the Washington Wizards. He is a baller. He is a good defender. I'm not saying he's otherworldly defender like a Kawhi, but he's not no slump on the defensive side. He did a pretty good job slowing down LeBron when he was on my Indiana Pacers. He's not. I'm not looking for him to be a showstopper. He's not going to go and shut down LeBron down to like 10 points per game, but he does his part. So they talk about his calf strain. He just debuted the other night against the New York Knicks, and so he's got some injuries and there's some question marks about his health. He is an older guy, 35 years old, so we'll have to keep an eye out for that injury. Peeweedaplug is a New York Knicks fan, and as you can tell, Indiana guy right here, this gentleman right here, Reggie Miller, my favorite player of all time. Not the most love towards one another for the New York Knicks and the Indiana Pacers, but a big shout out to Peeweedaplug, Pierre. He's been through a lot throughout his whole lifetime of the New York Knicks, and been in some great moments, some terrible moments. But this trade, I do agree. He mentioned this trade right here: Bojan Bogdanovic to the New York Knicks for Evan Fournier, Miles McBride, and a 2024 first-round pick. They're getting back their pick. Peeweedaplug mentioned that this pick, which we don't know for a fact, that this pick is probably protected. More than likely it's protected because they're still in a rebuild. That the pick really is a wash. It's this getting that back pick guaranteed. Getting off of Bojan Bogdanovic's contract, and you're going to take Evan Fournier's contract, which is only 1 year. You got Miles McBride, who's not getting any minutes. Same with Fournier. The trade is okay for the Detroit Pistons because of the fact that you're getting rid of that contract and Bojan Bogdanovic, free up some salary cap, maybe bring in a guy that can be that guy. With the Detroit Pistons, we can get into that later on. But this trade for the New York Knicks, like what he mentioned, there's got to be a little bit more to it. You already have RJ Barrett, you have DiVincenzo, you have Josh Hart, Julius Randle. You got so much depth at the shooting guard, small forward, and power forward. You kind of wonder where he would fit in for for this roster, because you already have Brunson guaranteed. You're going to have RJ Barrett guaranteed, Julius Randle guaranteed. Mitchell Robinson is guaranteed to, when he's not getting in foul trouble, he's going to play the 5. So you only have 2 slots left. And then you have DiVincenzo and Josh Hart. Josh Hart's going to probably start. So then that leaves that last spot open. Who knows how that really is going to affect if they were to do this trade. There's so many question marks for this team if they were to do this trade. But you can raise a ceiling for the fact that he can shoot. He's a sniper. He's shooting, I think his career average is 38, no less than 38%, if not 40% from 3. So you're guaranteed to get some buckets with him. And again, last year he averaged 21.8 points per game, nearly 22 points per game. So that's 22 more points that you could add, but the depth starts to get a little bit leery of who's going to go to the bench. Is he going to continue to play like this? Injuries, so on and so forth. So this trade benefits more for the Detroit Pistons to get rid of the salary cap and possibly have more salary cap for the following year. Not the best trade for the New York Knicks. Jeremy Grant and Peeweedaplug. After this player, I don't know any other players, but Peeweedaplug brought up that he has been the face of what young players should be aiming for. The opportunity that he started with the 76ers, getting that defense, he was trying to figure out who he is as a player. And he started to establish, I can defend really well at 6'8", 6'9". I want to say 6'9", small forward, power forward build. Let me try to figure out my game. Let me start with defense that can lead to offense. Goes to Oklahoma City. Knows that Westbrook, as Peeweedaplug has mentioned, that he is Russell Westbrook is a paint guy. He wants to be able to attack the rim, get some easy layups, so on and so forth. So he has got his game to be a little bit better on the offensive side, be able to stretch the floor for Westbrook. Goes to Detroit, or not Detroit, but to Denver, and really starts to blossom on a defensive end. He was that defensive juggernaut that they needed at the power forward position, with next to Nikola Jokic, who now Aaron Gordon is that defensive juggernaut they need in the paint. That he went and is like, hey, I showed that I can protect the rim, or I can be an excellent defender. I have a good shot shooting form. Let me try to get my bag. So Detroit's like, hey, here's your bag, $20 million a year. And they're like, okay, yeah, I'll take that. Went to Detroit, tried his darnest to get to be that. He was that guy, but they started really pushing for a full rebuild and continued to push for a rebuild. So they traded him away, and Portland's like, hey, let's try bringing Jeremy Grant, an amazing defender, excellent / amazing defender, can shoot threes, can stretch the floor for Damian Lillard. He has good ball handling. Let's try to get Damian Lillard to stay. And Damian, again, just stepped back, just watched what the play was what their play was to try to keep him to stay. And they gave him a $30 million contract. And Damian's like, okay, that's steep. So he asked for a trade. And I love this idea of Jeremy Grant, what Peeweedaplug had mentioned is that him going to the 76ers would be amazing. Him and Brogdon somehow get to the 76ers. 76ers maybe trade away Tobias Harris, get rid of that contract. Probably some role players and a couple picks. Especially that trade with the Clippers. They could trade those picks that they got from the Clippers to get Jeremy Grant and Malcolm Brogdon, do a full rebuild for the Portland Trail Blazers. I love that idea. Then you can have Jeremy Grant at the 4. If you can get yourself maybe another 4, I love the idea of Jeremy Grant at the 3. That 6'9" body, very athletic player. I love him at the 3 more than the 4. But I don't actually know what the trade is. I'm curious to know what the trade is. I stopped right when he was talking about the journey of Jeremy Grant, and that he is the epitome of what a young player should develop, should look at this journey, this scenario of Jeremy Grant's journey through the NBA, is that a 19-year-old, 20-year-old kid just got done with his first year of college, or had 1 year in the G League Ignite, that they're trying to find their footing in the NBA. Try to find either a good shooting form. If you have a good shooting form, you're going to probably be in the NBA, at least in a second round pick. You might get undrafted, but if you can establish some kind of way of showing that you can have that potential, that's what Jeremy Grant did, and I applaud Jeremy Grant especially. Let's see what the trade is, though. Expected to become available before the trade deadline. 29 years old, 5-year, $160 million, so $30 million, a little more than $30 million a year. 29 years old. So by the time this contract's done, he'll be 34 years old, getting a little bit up there in age. Jeremy Grant for DeAndre Hunter and a 2024 first-round pick. I love that trade for the Portland Trailblazers, especially. He is a 3-level scorer, and you're getting a first-round pick. It helps you get a nice young player that can score next to Shane Sharp, who went off for 27 points the other night. You have Scoot Henderson, who's been kind of showing that he's a very, very young player. No Inferno Simon, or the Inferno Simon situation. There's going to be some rebuild. Aiden hasn't really pushed to be that guy either. He's only attempted nearly no more than 10 shots a game. Been kind of a scary situation for the Portland Trailblazers. So I'm kind of curious to see how this works out for the Portland Trailblazers. You get out of that Jeremy Grant contract. Let me check something real quick. Let's see here. DeAndre Hunter. Let's see here. I don't think he signed a contract. Oh, so he did. Okay, that's actually not a bad contract either. 4-year, $90 million a year, or not $90 million. Oh my word, that'd be crazy. This year we'll earn a base of $20 million a year. Okay, and we'll carry up. We'll hit the cap at $20.08 million and a dead cap of that same amount of money. So he's looking at about 20. On average, annually, he'll make $22.5 million a year. So that's actually not bad. You're getting roughly about $10 to $12 million a year. You got a nice young player in DeAndre Hunter. Let me pull this back over here real quick and go back to DeAndre Hunter. I want to say he's quite young. He'll be 29 by the time his contract's over. He's already 26. He's still quite young, but he's getting up there at the same time too. This is the moment where not only as a player but as a human, he's kind of established who he is as a person, and they start to really step up their game around that age, about 26, 27 years old, 28. Getting a little bit up there in the age 30s where you become wiser, but yet your momentum of athleticism starts to decline to an extent, regress. There's another way of saying it. Jeremy Grant, is he that guy that becomes a stick glue? Does he become the guy that is able to establish the Atlanta Hawks to become or not playoff contenders, but title contenders. I like his defense quite a bit more than Hunter's. You're getting rid of a first round pick via lottery protected from Sacramento, which is going to probably be given to, in this case, the Trailblazers, because the Sacramento Kings are looking like they're going to be probably in the playoffs, so it's not going to be them in the top 15 for a pick to go back to Sacramento. Yeah, I can see that being a thing, because then you could have AJ Griffin at the 3. You would still have DeJounte Murray and Trae Young at the 1 and 2. You throw Jeremy Grant at the 4, and then Clint Capella at the 5. With Jeremy Grant, he has shown that he can hit that 3. Is he amazing at it? No, but he can space a 4, and you can have him at the 4 and play great defense. So I do love that trade. You're not getting rid of your own pick. You get rid of DeAndre Hunter's contract, but yet you're taking on more money. Yeah, I like it more so for the fact of the Jeremy Grant going to the Hawks than the Hawks giving up Hunter and a first round pick. That's kind of a leery situation, giving up any kind of pick. But today's times, no team really is. They don't see their picks as important as it used to be. Next up is Zach LaVine. Pretty interesting situation with going nowhere fast. Chicago Bulls have shown an increased openness in exploring a trade. Doesn't like Chicago's chances of turning any type of contending corner, and is also ready to play under a different head coach than Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan, he had the opportunity to play with or coach Russell Westbrook and Paul George. He was a college guy prior to coming to the NBA. Went to an already established team that already had 2 great players that were already above the age of what young players. They weren't young players. There was Russell Westbrook and Paul George, who were already not only all-stars but all NBA stars. They were phenomenal players. Comes to the Bulls, hasn't really shown to help get the growth of likes of Patrick Williams. They already had Zach LaVine. Hasn't really developed a defensive mindset to an extent. Yeah, it would be best if they were to just move on from Zach LaVine. Maybe try to get rid of DeMar DeRozan. If you have the opportunity, maybe try to get rid of Lonzo Ball. I know Lonzo has been injured, but his injuries are not getting any better. I would try to trade them away. Maybe start Kobe White. Continue to work on the development of Patrick Williams. Try to trade away Vucevic, who just recently signed with them. There's a lot of things that the Bulls should be trying to do, along with getting rid of Billy Donovan. Let Billy Donovan go back to college, reestablish the Bulls as a dynasty. It's a pretty rough scenario. And a big shout out to Through the Wire that all 4 gentlemen, D Mills, Derek, Peeweedaplug, Pierre, you got KB, Kenny Beecham, and Mike. Great gentlemen that know basketball a ton, and they all love Chicago. They're from Chicago. They live up in Chicago, so they poor Kenny. Every time I've watched their podcast on YouTube, you can also find them on Spotify. You can see the hurt in Kenny Beecham's eyes, especially. Everybody else is like, yeah, I mean, it's just Chicago. We suck. Poor Kenny's like heartbroken over this. Wow, that's a lot of players. Zach LaVine to the Miami Heat for Kyle Lowry, Caleb Martin, Nikola Jovic, not Jokic, but Jovic, and a 2029 first round pick. Okay, so the idea behind that 2029 is that they don't have a lot of picks left, first round especially, that if you were to go and somehow Zach LaVine is not able to be able to pair up with the likes of Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and Duncan Robinson, that if they have to tear it completely down, that 2029 first round pick could be worthwhile, by golly, top 3 protected. So you want them to be decent, but you don't want them to be one of the worst teams, because if they're a bottom 3, technically 1, 2, or 3, that pick goes right back to Miami. But defensively, you lose a little bit in Caleb Martin. Kyle Lowry is just getting rid of a Kyle Lowry contract, $30 million a year, continues to get $30 million a year. It shows his age, his injuries are starting to add up. The potential Nikola Jovic, not Jokic, Nikola Jovic, I like that. That's probably one of the better things is Nikola Jovic at in that scenario. You already know you're wanting to move on. You want to reestablish, rebuild this team. If you're starting from the scratch, you're gonna have to let's see here. $49 million player option for the following season. So in 2026, 2027 is $49 million. He's taking that in a heartbeat. Yeah, if you're wanting to start from scratch, and Nikola Jovic could be a good player to play, to have on this team. I like his floor spacing. I always want to say spacing floor, but floor spacing. Caleb Martin, during the prior to the finals, actually showed that he could get some buckets, could play good defense. Then the finals came and kind of went quiet. But a nice establishment to restart from scratch. You might consider doing a buyout with Kyle Lowry, have Kobe White start, and then you can have Nikola Jovic start at the 4. Maybe try to trade. Yeah, it's a good trade for the Chicago Bulls. I'm trying to look at the Chicago Bulls perspective. For the Miami Heat, what could go wrong? Caleb Martin has been injured. Kyle Lowry's been injured. Nikola Jovic hasn't played any minutes. You're getting only a 2029 first round pick. You're not having to get rid of Tyler Hero. You're not getting rid of Duncan Robinson. You already have your establishment with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo. Why not? I mean, yes, you're getting a little bit worse defensively when it comes to getting rid of Caleb Martin, but you get buckets with Zach LaVine, which they need some buckets. He's a guaranteed bucket getter. And then you can have Jimmy Butler be that defensive anchor because Zach LaVine doesn't play defense. I love the trade for the Miami Heat, especially. It's a great pickup. Speaking of Chicago Bulls, I'm not surprised. DeMar DeRozan. Again, not a good defender. He was a good defender in Toronto. I guess he was a pretty good defender in San Antonio too. But in his money, he's making a good chunk of money too. The Philadelphia 76ers. You got DeMar DeRozan going to the 76ers for Marcus Morris Sr., Nicholas Batum, Jaden Springer, and a 2028 first-round pick, which is top 4 protected. So that's saying that, with that being a top 4 protected, that's saying if Joel Embiid requests a trade because things aren't working out, we'd like to have that pick so we can start rebuilding. But I love Tyrese Maxey, so that pick is more likely going to be a nice little rebuild. If they do back-to-back trades of DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, Nikola Nikola Vucevic is definitely going to get traded. You're going to probably try to trade away Lonzo Ball. It's a full rebuild. You can't go wrong with a pick. DeMar DeRozan's a bucket getter. You already have Joel Embiid. You got Tobias Harris. You're going to be able to keep Tobias Harris. Yeah, Tyrese Maxey. With DeMar DeRozan at the 3, I love this trade. This would be a great trade for the 76ers. You're giving up 3 players who you're... I know Nicholas Batum continues to be Nicholas Batum and do Nicholas Batum things, who continues... He's had 1 year that he got hurt, went to the Hornets, got hurt, but continues to be a good bucket getter. He is that Swiss Army knife that he can play defense, he can handle the ball, he can pass the ball. He's a great playmaker, facilitator. I love Nicholas Batum. More likely, Nicholas Batum is going to get bought out. Marcus Morris is going to get bought out. James Springer would be a pretty good player. I want to say he's a little bit younger. He might be a good little role player for a rebuild team. Jaden Springer. Whoa. How old are you, Jaden? 21. Yep, that's perfect. That's beautiful. Beautiful, nice young piece to go with that trade with the Zach LaVine. So I would love to see that. I would love to see this trade. You get rid of contracts, so you let them get bought out. You go and you keep young Jaden Springer with a 2028 first round pick. Nice rebuild you got going on with this. You get a 29 first round pick and a Nikola Jovic. I'm not going to be upset with that. Start that rebuild. Another one, Alex Caruso. Okay, no, he hasn't been the best of recently. Okay, here we go. Golden State Warriors for Jonathan Kuminga, Corey Joseph, Guy Santos, and a 2027 first round pick. Yep, in a heartbeat. You can probably have John Kuminga at the 4. I'm trying to think of... You can go smaller and go John Kuminga at the 4, Jovic at the 5. If you get rid of Vucevic, you can go Kobe White at the 1. Actually, Patrick Williams at the 3. Yeah, there's a lot of potential with this. This one right here, especially if you are the Chicago Bulls and you are looking to rebuild it. This establishes a rebuild if you're able to get a trade going, and you start generating. If you're able to start trading, this would be a great starting point. If you could get this right here. If you can get this package right here, John Kuminga with all the other packages, Jovic and who was the other one? Oh, Jaden Springer. You're already getting that turnaround quickly. You can have a young squad with Billy Donovan being a good young player coach, former college coach. I love this trade right here, especially a 2027 first round pick. Yeah, I'll take that all day. Next up is Kyle Kuzma. So, I've been watching a ton of Washington Wizards games. I love seeing... I don't know what the hell that is. I love seeing the Washington Wizards play. I don't know why. They are one of the worst teams in the league right now. And the way they're going right now, they might be one of the worst teams of all time. Only 2 wins on the season. They are terrible. They can't play defense at all. Kyle Kuzma has no room to talk about defense. Yeah, Jordan Poole can't play defense. Daniel Gafford tries to play defense, but nobody can get a rebound. It's a terrible situation. I love watching them play. They get moments where they've had several games where they're leading going into the fourth quarter, and they completely blow the lead, and they end up losing the game. It's been fun to watch. I love watching the Washington Wizards for that fact. I'm curious to see what kind of trade we'll be looking at doing. To the Dallas Mavericks for Raquan Holmes, Maxi Kleber, Oliver Maxence Prosper, in 2027, not 2021. That was a couple years ago. 2027 first round pick, top 3 protected, and a 2028 first round pick swap. Okay. So I love, you're not giving up too much in this. You're giving up, for the Dallas Mavericks, you're giving up a stretch 4/3 in Maxi Kleber. You're giving up a backup center in Raquan Holmes. I love Oliver Prosper. He seems like he's gonna be a great young player. You're gonna give up 2 first round picks. That's where it gets kind of sketchy. Because if things don't work between Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, you could be looking at those picks being pretty bad. You do luckily have a top 3 protected, but if it goes anything 4 through 5 or anything below 4, that pick automatically goes to Washington. It could get pretty ugly in a 2028 first round pick swap. Can get pretty bad. Kyle Kuzma is not a good defender, and they need a little bit better defenders for the Dallas Mavericks. But you also need to get buckets, because relying only on Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, getting a little bit of a decent to good ball handler in Kyle Kuzma. He can stretch the floor. He can be your third superstar. Even though I do love Derek Lively, he I think has established that he is that third superstar. So then Kyle Kuzma would fall to the fourth, in my opinion. But you can't go wrong with getting more buckets, especially in today's league. Of course, if you are admitting that trade for trading away Chris Paul, which was the Bradley Beal trade, you are wanting to fully rebuild, and you know that Jordan Poole is not the face of the franchise. This is not a bad trade. You get a nice young prospect in Oliver Maxence Prosper and 2 first round picks. Things aren't looking the best. This is actually not a bad trade for the Washington Wizards. You get picks to rebuild with, a young player, and you get out of the Kyle Kuzma. What the hell? Get out of the Kyle Kuzma contract. These players aren't making much. Same with Oliver. He's a young player. He's not making much. You're getting rid of a lot of contracts, but you're taking on a big contract. To me, the Washington Wizards win this one, especially getting rid of the Kyle Kuzma contract. You're rebuilding. They win more so, but you can't go wrong with getting more buckets with Kyle Kuzma. Dallas had eyes on Kuzma this offseason. It could wind up seeing him as the final piece to complete its starting 5. German Derek Jones Jr. is the clear weak link in that group, and Kuzma would be an enormous upgrade. Yeah, the Derek Jones Jr. has not really stepped up his offensive game. He's not really a good shooter. Doesn't have the best shooting forms. He doesn't actually shoot many threes. Yeah, you could slide him there instead. He can shine as a third scoring option, and he's made big strides with his defense and distributing. Very true. Okay. Yeah, that's not bad. Um, yeah, I like the trade for both. Let's go to Karl Anthony Towns, number 4. What are we working with here for a trade? Karl Anthony Towns to the Miami Heat for Tyler Hero, Caleb Martin, Nikola Jovic, in a 2028 first round pick. Okay. So in that case, you'd probably have Tyler Hero. This is where it gets sketchy because you already have Anthony Edwards at the 2. I guess you'd then consider buying out maybe Mike Conley, have Tyler Hero at the 1. Or maybe have Anthony Edwards and Tyler Hero take turns handling the ball. They could establish that 1-2 guard. No, not either one of them are going to be technically the guard in that. One's going to be the point guard, one's going to be the shooting guard. Kind of the establishment. You get a good defender in Caleb Martin. You get a nice young player in Nikola Jovic, who you can slide it up to the 4 instead with Rudy Gobert. I kind of like that. I actually really like that. And you get a 2028 first round pick. I probably like that a lot for the. I like that a lot for the Minnesota Timberwolves. For the fact that you got nice young players in Tyler Hero and Nikola Jovic. Yeah, I'll take that. I'd take that pretty much all day for the Timberwolves. The Heat, you're giving up a lot. A first round pick in Tyler Hero is the mainstay. Kim Martin, again, defensively leading up to the finals, was balling out. He was averaging 20 plus points a game, playing great defense. You haven't really seen much from Nikola Jovic. That's a lot to give up. And you're getting Karl Anthony Towns, who does a lot of whining and crying to the referees. But him next to Bam Adebayo actually would be pretty interesting to see, because you already have Rudy Gobert defensively. Now you have Bam Adebayo instead. Karl Anthony Towns is a bucket. He is a great shooting big. Yeah, I could see that working. You still would have Duncan Robinson, Kyle Lowry, Jimmy Butler. It's not a bad trade for the Heat. I like it. I love it for the Timberwolves. Kind of a question mark for the Heat, though. I'm not the biggest. If I'm a Heat fan, I'm not really wanting to do this trade at all, in all honesty. Next up is OG Anunoby, a former IU kid. There's been talks for a while, or not months, a couple of years now. We've been talking about OG coming to the Pacers, wearing that blue and gold, being back in Indiana. Kind of curious to see who they talk about him going to, though. To the Sacramento Kings for Harrison Barnes, a 2026 first round pick, top 5 protected, a 2028 first round pick, and a 2023 first round pick swap. So this is pretty much saying, hey, we might blow this thing up, or we want to rebuild. Specifically, the Toronto Raptors, we want to rebuild. So let's get some picks in, and you can have all these picks, or we just want Harrison Barnes and give us all the picks. The Sacramento Kings, I love this. Defensively, you go from slow-footed, good shooting three, a good / great or good slash really good 3-point shooter in Harrison Barnes to a defending young player in OG Anunoby. I love this trade for both teams, really, because this really says that, hey, let's rebuild. It's time to start from scratch for the Raptors. And then the Kings, hey, we are looking to not just be a playoff contender like we did last year, where we were the 3rd seed. We ended up losing in the first round. We actually want to establish us being title contenders. We're getting rid of all of our picks, and we're going to really establish defense with an OG Anunoby trade. I would love this trade. Is that right? Mike Brown? Yeah, Mike Woodson is in IU. Mike Brown is the head coach, and he is an excellent coach, coach of the year, that good. And that turnaround was a significant moment for the Kings. You could be right up there with this kind of trade with De'Aaron Fox, OG Anunoby, Duarte. You can have at the 2, Sabonis. You have so much going on. Malik Monk. I love this trade for the Kings, and I would be happy for the Kings to get this kind of trade. I miss my Domantas Sabonis at times, but can't argue with that other kid that we got instead, and Tyrese Halliburton, one of the best point guards in the league right now. Pascal Siakam, pretty much the face of the Raptors, been the face of the Raptors, in my opinion, for a while. Even with Kyle Lowry, he holds almost every Raptors record. And then you had Van Vliet, who was a face. Especially in today's times, we're not going back to the early 2000s with Vince Carter, but in today's times, I picture Pascal Siakam as the face of this franchise. DeMar DeRozan is another one that I do see their face, but I picture Pascal. He's consistently been a great all-star. He has consistently averaged 24 points, 8+ rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. I love Pascal Siakam. I'm curious to see what this trade is. Again, if you're doing back-to-back trades, this is a full rebuild. To the Brooklyn Nets for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, Noah Clowney, and a 2027 first-round pick. Cam Thomas is Cam Thomas and does Cam Thomas things and is a bucket. I guess you can slide him to the 1. You have Mikal Bridges. Actually, no. Never mind. There's that Ben Simmons guy that's back and healthy and is looking pretty damn good at the 1. So then you'd have Ben Simmons, Mikal Bridges, Pascal Siakam, Nicholas Claxton at the 5. Dorian Finney-Smith has been playing the 4. I guess he could slide. Yeah, I like that actually more so. You could have Ben Simmons, Cam Thomas at the 2, Mikal Bridges at the 3, Pascal Siakam at the 4, and Nicholas Claxton at the 5. That's a hell of a lineup for the Brooklyn Nets. I would do it. And in return, you're getting Spencer Dinwiddie, who has been kind of a journeyman point guard. I love Spencer Dinwiddie. He's been a good, established point guard. Dorian Finney-Smith continues to be a good defender, especially a defender at the 4, and he's like a shorter guy, 6'5", 6'6", something like that. Noah Clowney, don't really know much about Noah Clowney, but then you get a first-round pick, and 4 years from now, nearly 3 years actually, that is a Phoenix pick, which actually could actually be a pretty damn good pick, especially if things don't work out with Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, and they all ask for a trade. That pick could be a delicious pick. I love it for the Brooklyn Nets more so, that you get your established four that defends. You have to have Dorian Finney-Smith at the 4. You have to give up quite a good role players, but you're not giving up a ton. And you're giving up a pick that's not even your own pick. I love that more so for Brooklyn. This screams rebuild, and getting a pick and a young player in Noah Clowney, not a bad one. That's a good little rebuild package. Probably buy out Spencer Dinwiddie. Maybe try to trade him right after this trade is over. Donovan Mitchell. I thought about this for a while now. Yeah. The minute the Cavaliers trade for him, I was like, okay, this could actually be a thing. He loves having the ball in his hands a little bit too much. He tries to force shots a little bit too much. I don't know how this is going to work out. I love Darius Garland. Darius Garland is a stud. I love Darius Garland. You have Evan Mobley, who hasn't really got the chance to really get shots. Jared Allen is a great pick and roll center who can play good defense as a center. Your 3 has been a question mark. Your small forward position has been your biggest question mark. If they can do a trade that you can get a good established 2 to replace Donovan Mitchell, and an established 3 would be huge. I don't like Max Strus at the 3. Maybe you can then slide Max Strus to the 2, and then you could get a 3 right here in this trade that they're going to bring up. Hopefully, because they've been that small forward position has been a question mark for a while, since LeBron has been gone pretty much. Cedi Osman didn't pan out, and I don't like George Niang at the 3 either. Oh my word. Donovan Mitchell to the New York Knicks for R.J. Barrett, Emmanuel Quickley, Miles McBride, a 2024 first-round pick, top 12 projected via Washington. So that's going to go back to Washington. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, that's a wash. I would rather get a 2025 first-round pick via their own team or a later team. That I don't like that. I don't like that. A 2029 first-round pick and a 2028 first-round pick swap. So you're getting 2 other picks, because that Washington one's not going to them. I would want another pick instead of that 2024, because I'm curious to see what he has to say about that, if that's a thing, about that pick. Timelines. Could refill their draft pick collection without abandoning all hope of competing at the highest level. Here's a timeline with Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, then Donovan Mitchell. It doesn't talk about that pick. I don't like that pick. I love the other 2 picks. Actually, wait a second. I didn't realize I didn't even read this one. A 2027. Yeah. Either way, this pick is null and void. Even if they were to keep the pick, it's going to Washington. But if they were to get the pick, it's going to Washington. So I guess you can trade it. But if they were to say, hey, this is the trade, we're not going back on any other ways, I take it. You're losing out on that pick. But a 2027, a 2029, and a 2028, you get an R.J. Barrett, who, again, I'm not the biggest fan of him at the 3. You could probably, actually, I would want him at the 3 more so. How tall are you, R.J.? R.J. Barrett. How tall? 6'5"? How tall are you, kid? 6'6". Okay. Huh. 6'6". I would want at least another inch, if not 2. I prefer 2 at 6'8" at small forward position. But in today's game, you can have anybody at any position, regardless. I mean, look at the Golden State Warriors. They sometimes have Draymond Green at the 5. He's 6'9". How old are you, Draymond Green? Draymond Green, how tall are you? Ooh, that's not it. Draymond Green. You are 6'6". Wow. I was thinking he's 6'6", but didn't really think much about him being 6'6". But he's a bigger guy at 6'6", comparatively to a R.J. Barrett who's 6'6". Wait, I looked that up right. He's 6'6", right? I'm losing my mind here, gentlemen and ladies. R.J. Barrett, how old are you? He's 6'6". He's a smaller 6'6". Yeah, you could do that. You could probably have R.J. Barrett at the 3, and then have Quickly at the 2. Do I like that? Do I like Quickly at the 2? No, he's established that he wants to be kind of like a Lou Williams, where Lou Williams slash Jamal Crawford, a 6-man that can get buckets, great ball handling, amazing ball handling. Do I like him at the 2 though? I mean, actually, you could have Max Strus. Never mind. Actually, I'd love this trade then in that case, because then you'd have you'd have Darius Garland at the 1, Max Strus at the 2, R.J. Barrett at the 3, Evan Mobley, and Jarrett Allen. And you're getting 4, technically 3 first-round picks. Slide on over this way, please. Come to daddy. I would love this trade. If I'm getting a call and I'm the Cleveland Cavaliers and it's the Knicks and they're doing this trade, I'm like, yes. Just do it. Sign on the dotted line. Ship that out. I would do this in a heartbeat. So much depth, and you're getting picks. Yes. The trade for the Knicks, on the other hand, this is terrible. The depth that you're giving up. Yes, Miles McBride is not getting a whole lot of minutes, but you're getting up a man quickly who hasn't really played a lot either. But that brings that much more depth that the Cleveland Cavaliers could establish with these 2 young players. You're giving them an established 3 in R.J. Barrett, and then you giving up 3 first-round picks. 3. A 2027, which is not too far away, a 2029, and a 2028 pick swap. So if this trade does not work out, you have Donovan Mitchell leave, you have Julius Randle leave. That I'm the Cleveland Cavaliers. Give me that pick. I'm swapping with you because this could be a game changer for the Cleveland Cavaliers. This is terrible and I have not watched all the way through of my man Peeweedaplug, which again I will leave a link in the description of his channel. I'll also leave a link of his video down in the description also of him reacting to this article too. I'm curious to see what he has to say about this. I'm going to watch it myself after I get done recording this and see what his reaction. I can almost guarantee you he's going to say the exact same thing as me, because you're getting up a lot of depth. You're getting up picks for an older guy, an older player in Donovan Mitchell versus R.J. Barrett, and you get up Emmanuel Quickly, Miles McBride. You get picks. That's a lot to give up for a player that likes to have the ball in his hands a lot. He likes to shoot a lot. So then you still have DiVincenzo, Josh Hart. You have Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson. Quentin Grimes can actually continue to play too. You still would have depth. But I love I love RJ Barrett. I'm curious to see what he has to say though. But that is it for this article. If you guys want to see me react to any other articles, hit that like button. If you have any suggestions for articles you'd like me to react to, leave a comment down below of what articles you'd like to see me react to. Or if there's any teams you guys like me to talk about, just anything NBA related, don't be afraid to hit that like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. With all this being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say it right here, and I'll talk to you guys later.